Imagine you are living in China, the world's second largest economy and the most populous country. You have a decent job, a nice apartment and a comfortable lifestyle. You have explored some major problems the Chinese Communist Party is facing the post-pandemic era and how they could impact China's economic and social development. The mortgage crisis has been a major challenge for China's economy, particularly in its property sector, which is a key driver of growth and wealth. To give you an idea of its significance, the property sector accounts for approximately 25% of the country's GDP and 70% of its household wealth. However, despite its importance, the sector is highly vulnerable to a range of problems, including overcapacity, speculation, corruption, and debt. In an effort to address these issues, the Chinese government has implemented a series of credit and regulatory policies to curb excessive borrowing and speculation. Unfortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic has only exacerbated the situation, leading to lower sales and higher inventories as demand dwindled and supply chains were disrupted. Things took a turn for the worse in 2023 when Evergrande Group, China's largest property developer, defaulted on its debt obligations. This default triggered a domino effect that impacted other developers and creditors, causing widespread panic across the financial system. Evergrande had accumulated more than $300 billion in debt, making it the world's most indebted property company. Its collapse sent shockwaves across the financial system as banks, bondholders, suppliers, contractors and home buyers all faced losses or delays in payments. While the government intervened to prevent a systematic crisis, it made it clear that it would not bail out irresponsible developers or investors. Instead, it urged them to resolve their issues through market mechanisms and legal procedures. The mortgage crisis has exposed the fragility and risks of China's property sector, which has relied too much on debt-fueled expansion and speculation. It has also brought to light the social and political consequences of the sector's problems, such as protests by angry home buyers who demand refunds or compensation, lawsuits by creditors who seek repayment or restructuring, and discontent by ordinary people who feel excluded from affordable housing. The CCP is facing a difficult balancing act: how to stabilise the market and prevent moral hazard while supporting growth and containing debt, and how to protect people's interests while maintaining social order. One possible solution that the CCP is pursuing is a shift from housing for speculation to housing for living. This means that the government will encourage more rental housing, public housing, and affordable housing for low and middle income groups. It will also discourage excessive investment and speculation in housing and regulate land supply and prices. Other measures include improving property taxation and strengthening financial supervision and risk management. The goal is to make housing more accessible and equitable for people while reducing its dependence on economic growth. China is facing numerous challenges in its development, including population decline, environmental degradation, and economic instability. One of the biggest challenges in the population decline, which has been the result of the former one-child policy. This policy was implemented from 1980 to 2016 to control population growth and improve living standards, leading to the elimination of approximately 400 million people who were never born or aborted under coercion. However, it also created a culture in which children were seen as burdens rather than blessings, leading to a trend of low fertility that has continued even after the policy relaxed in 2016 to allow couples to have 2 children. In fact, China's birth rate continued to fall in the following years, reaching a record low of 1.09 children per woman in 2022, which is far below the replacement level of 2.1 children per woman needed to maintain a stable population. The population decline has serious implications for China's economic and social development. It means that China will face a shrinking labour force, an ageing society, a gender imbalance, and a reduced consumer market. Furthermore, it means that China will have to bear a heavier burden of pension and healthcare costs for its elderly population, which will account for more than 30% of the total population by 2030. Moreover, it means that China will lose its demographic dividend, which has the advantage of having a large population of working-age people relative to dependents. In response to this challenge, the Chinese Communist Party CCP is considering further relaxing or abolishing the family planning policy altogether. The CCP announced in May 2021 that couples will be allowed to have 3 children instead of 2, and in October 2021, it announced that it would scrap all birth restrictions by 2025. The aim is to encourage more births and increase population growth. However, experts doubt that these measures will have much effect on fertility rates, as many other factors discourage people from having more children, such as high living costs, limited childcare, low income, and changing values. Therefore, the CCP will also need to implement other policies to support families, such as providing more subsidies, tax breaks, education, healthcare, and social service for parents and children. The second challenge that China is facing is environmental degradation, which the country's rapid economic growth is caused. China has relied heavily on fossil fuels, especially coal, to power its industrialization and urbanization, and as a result has become the world's largest emitter of greenhouse gases, accounting for about 28% of global emissions in 2020. Additionally, China is the world's largest consumer of energy, water, and other natural resources, putting enormous pressures on its ecosystems and biodiversity. This has led to many environmental problems such as air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution, desertification, deforestation, and waste management, which not only harm the health and well-being of people, but also undermine its economic productivity and competitiveness. Environmental degradation also poses a challenge to China's international relations, as it affects the global climate and security. China is a signatory to the Paris Agreement on climate change, which aims to limit the global temperature rise to well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels by the end of this century. However, China's current emissions trajectory is not consistent with this goal, as it plans to peak its emissions by 2030 and achieve carbon neutrality by 2060.
Air is so polluted that it's darkened the sky.
This means that China will still emit a large amount of greenhouse gases in the next decades, while other countries are expected to reduce their emissions more quickly and drastically. One possible solution that the CCP is pursuing is a transition to a green and low carbon economy by investing in renewable energy. The CCP has set a series of targets and policies to promote green development, such as increasing the share of non-fossil fuels in primary energy consumption to 25% by 2030. The CCP also seeks to enhance its international cooperations on climate change by participating in multilateral platforms such as the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change (UNFCCC) and the Belt of the Road Initiative (BRI). The more challenge that the CCP faces is a environmental crisis. China is the world's largest emitter of greenhouse gases, and its rapid industrialization and urbanization have caused severe air pollution. These environmental problems not only threaten the health and well-being of the Chinese people, but also undermine the economic and social stability of the country. The CCP has pledged to achieve carbon neutrality by 2060, but it still relies heavily on coal and other fossil fuels for its energy needs. It also faces resistance from local governments and vested interests that prioritize short-term growth over long-term sustainability. Overall, China is facing major challenges in its development, but the CCP is taking steps to address them. By relaxing the family planning policy, investing in green development, and cooperating with other countries, China can overcome these challenges and achieve substantial growth. These are some of the major challenges that the CCP is facing in the post-pandemic era, and some of the possible solutions that it is pursuing or considering to address them. Of course, there are many other challenges and solutions that we have not covered in this video, such as geopolitical tensions with the United States and its allies, the technological innovation and competition with other countries, the social stability and governance issues within China, and the ideological interact and conflict with social values and norms. We hope that this video has given you some insights into why the CCP is in a major trouble and how it is trying to overcome its difficulties and achieve its goals. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to get notified when we upload new content. Thank you for watching.